Here's another problem that has to do with manufacturing and how we arrange our labor force, our workforce, where we place the different assets, in this case people and their skills. So we have a problem where National Wing Company is gearing up for the construction of the B-48. NWC has agreed to produce 20 wings in April, 24 in May, and 30 in June. So we have production in 3 months, April, May, June, and we have different amounts in each of those months, 20, 24, and 30. Currently, we have 100 fully qualified workers. A fully qualified worker can either be placed in production or can train a new recruit. So these individuals have 2 skills. A new recruit can be trained to be an apprentice in 1 month. So if you have a recruit and they can be moved up to apprentice in 1 month. After another month, but of course, if you are trying to move a recruit to an apprentice level, that means that one of your qualified workers, instead of being building wings, they're going to be training the recruits. Okay, after another month, the apprentice becomes a qualified worker. Okay, so 1 month to go from recruit to apprentice, and then from apprentice to a qualified worker. Each trainer can train 2 recruits. Okay, so I said that before, I said 1-to-1, but apparently 1 trainer can train 2 recruits. Okay, so if you have a qualified worker spending time on a recruit, you're taking 2. I'm sorry, you're converting 1 qualified into 2 recruits that are going to turn into apprentices. Okay. And now they're giving us the salaries and also how much they can bill of the wing, I guess. Yeah. Production rate, yep, and the wages. So a production worker, a fully qualified worker, can produce 0.6 of a wing a month. The trainer 0.3, a recruit 0.05, and an apprentice 0.4. These two should be swapped, but no. And this is how much we're going to pay. Obviously, the production workers, the fully qualified workers, are the most productive, but they're also the most expensive. At the end of June, NWC wishes to have no recruits or apprentices, but have at least 140 full-time workers. So while you are trying to meet the contract, you also need to train. Well, if you have 100 fully qualified workers at the beginning, you need to train 40 of these recruits into full-time workers, into fully qualified production workers. So you need to get 40 through the ranks. Okay. So my unknowns are going to be the number of producers in months 1 through 4. So it's going to be P1, P2, P3, P4. The number of trainers, T1, T2, T3, T4, the number of apprentices, A1, A2, A3, A4, and the number of recruits, R1, R2, R3, and R4. Okay, and I want to minimize the wages. I want to minimize the cost of this production while I meet the production. So I'm going to have all of my unknowns here. So I have P1, T1, R1. That's the first month. P2, T2, A2 the second month, and the third month is going to be R2, P3, A3. And that's the cost for each of them, right? And you'll notice that there's some weird things happening here. There's like missing unknowns. No, they're not missing. For example, in the first period, which is right here, this is the first month right here, right? We don't have any apprentices because there's not enough time to train them yet. They require 1 month, so you have none. I mean, you could do, I guess you could write A1 with a 0 in front of it, right? Because there are none. But let's just keep it simple. There are none. Now, the ones that you train in the recruits that you train in the first period, the first month, which are these guys right here, they will turn into the apprentices in the second period, right there. And any recruits in the second month will turn into apprentices in the third month. Was I saying before 1, 2, 3, 4? It's only 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's only 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, correct. It's 1, 2, 3 for the first month. Then the trainers are available the first month and the second month. There's no point in the third month because they won't make it. And then the apprentices will be created in 2 and 3. And then the recruits come from either 1 or 2 because there's no time in 3 to go from recruit to full-time worker. It requires 2 months. Okay, so we want to minimize that. All right. So my total production in month 1, which is April, must be equal or exceed the contract for month 1. And the contracts were 20, 24, and 30. So P1, T1, R1 greater or equal to 20. So you have an equal there. Actually, it should be equal, but I don't think it's going to matter in this case. Then for the second constraint, which is going to be that period of month 1 and month 2, we have the same idea, but now we need to introduce the apprentices that are coming in, plus the recruits that we're bringing in on the second month. They're going to be turned into apprentices into the third month. They're going to go through that last month and turn into full-time workers. So that's going to be greater or equal to 4. And then the last one, which is for the period 3, is the same thing, but now we have all of those trainers and all of those apprentices moving through and recruits moving through the ranks month after month for those 3 months. That has to be greater or equal to 7. To 77, right? 74, sorry. 74, yeah. 20 plus 24 plus 30, 20 plus 24 plus 30, 74. That's the total production. Yep. Okay, now down here, the number of producers and trainers in a month must equal the number of producers, trainers and apprentices in the previous month. That's another constraint that we're getting, which I didn't mention at the beginning, right? I didn't mention that, but yeah, that's in the problem. The number of producers and trainers in a month must equal the number of producers, trainers, and apprentices in the previous month. Okay, so 4 and 5, which is going to be, so it's going to be months 2 and 3, because the first month there's no previous. There's no previous in the first month, right? That's when you start. So then P1 minus P2 plus T1 minus T2 equals 0. And then P2 minus P3 plus T2 plus A2 equals 0. That's in the third month. Okay? Then the number of apprentices in a month must equal the number of recruits in the previous month. The number of apprentices in a month must equal the number of recruits. Okay, so A2 minus R1 equals 0 for the second period. And then the third period, it would be A3 minus R2 equals 0. Each trainer can train 2 recruits. Okay, that's the problem, that when you have a trainer, when you have someone going from qualified to trainer so they can train a recruit, you're taking them from the production. For each trainer, you can train 2 recruits. You can bring 2 recruits into apprentice. So 2T1 minus R1 greater or equal to 0. Well, it should be equal to 0. Yeah, greater than 0. Yeah. 2T2 minus R2 greater than or equal to 0. Same, but it's going to fix that. In reality, it's actually equal. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, because it's fixed. It's not at least, yeah, okay. No, I'm sorry, no, actually, that's, yeah, that's actually greater or equal, yeah. Yeah, and that's because we did them. I already did the math here. That's why. I'm sorry. I was going to redo everything again. In reality, the way you read this one is 2t1 2t1 equals r1. So when you manipulate that, so let me just write it down. 2t1 equals r1. That's what it used to be. But when you manipulate that, it turns into this, because you move the r1 to the other side, and then you flip and you get that equation. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll move to the second part here.